Let's listen to The Lost World by Arthur Conan Doyle. Level A2, Oxford Reading University. Part 2. You can find Part 1 in the description.
By evening, we had everything we needed, but there was no hope for us to return home safely. 7. The next day, the professor made a suggestion. "We shall call this place Maple White Land," he said, and everyone agreed. We set up our camp under a tall tree and protected it with thick, large plants. On our first day, we discovered an amazing view. It was a family of huge gray-green dinosaurs feeding on plants. We stood there for a long while. We couldn't take our eyes off them. "What will they say in England about this?" Professor Summerlee finally shouted. "You are lying," Challenger laughed, "exactly as you and others said about me." "What if we present the photographs?" "Not real." "Then our dear reporter will write about it in the newspaper." "He will lose his job at once," Lord John said. "In a month's time, we will not believe that this was true. What are these dinosaurs?" "Iguanodons," said Summerlee. "I give you my word, if we leave this place alive, I will take the head of such a monster with us," Lord John decided. We soon discovered strange rocks that looked like a small volcanic hole. Pterodactyls rested inside. Nearly 1,000 of large and small animals lay at the bottom. By accident, the professor caught the eye of one animal. Suddenly it shouted loudly and rose in the air. Another 100 followed it at once. They flew in circles high above our heads for some time. When they realized that we were not of any danger to them, they attacked. "Run!" Lord John shouted, but it was too late. The animals beat us with their wings and beaks, leaving terrible bloody marks. Lord John shot one of them, and we managed to run away. 8. The men go back to camp. However, they have another problem before they can rest. Their possessions are lying all over the place, but there are no footprints on the ground, and nobody touched the plants that protect the camp. Who is watching them from the dark? Has he come down from a tree? After we cleaned everything up, Lord Roxton asked me, "My friend, do you remember the strange earth from that volcano?" "Yes, it was soft and blue." "Soft and blue," he repeated slowly, and walked away. The following day, we decided to draw a map of the area. I climbed a tree to look around. Halfway up, I stopped in fear. I saw someone's eyes looking at me. They belonged to a big animal. It looked like a man, but had a large body with long red hair. A monkey man. It moved and quickly jumped away through the trees. At the top of the tree, I made a quick drawing. There was a lovely lake not far from the cliff. When I returned, my friends asked me to give it a name. "Let it be Lake Gladys," I said. That night, I couldn't get my lake out of my mind. I left the camp and went for a walk under the moon, and for good reason. Behind the lake, I saw a cliff. In it, there were many caves with fires burning, and I could see Indians walking around inside. I was right, I thought to myself. There are other people in this land. A new day was already beginning. I returned to the camp, but I couldn't rest a minute. Our things were lying around, and there was blood on the grass. I found no sign of my friends. What happened to them, I thought? Will I ever see them again? What will I do without them? Scared and alone, I waited and waited. Soon sleep overcame me. 9. I woke up to someone touching my shoulder. It was hard to recognize my old friend Lord John in that man. The last time I saw him, he was strong and serious, in fine white clothes. But at that moment, his eyes burned with a wild fire on his bloody face. His clothes were untidy too. "Come quick, my friend, get the guns," he cried. We ran through the forest as fast as we could. Suddenly, Lord John pulled me down to the ground. "What happened to you?" I asked in a worried voice. "The monkey men, they attacked at night." I saw fear in Lord John's eyes. "It suddenly rained monkeys. They fell from the trees like apples. They tied us and put us under the tree. When I say us, I mean myself and poor Summerlee. You are going to laugh, but they liked Challenger a lot. Their chief, an old monkey man, looked very similar to Challenger, so they served him as king. But with us, they were so bad. Just look at my skin and my clothing." My whole body shook. What happened next? "They brought us to their town. Yes, we find ourselves in no good place now," he continued. "We saw the Indians yesterday, too. The monkey men caught them and beat them and wished to kill them all. Remember when we found the dead American? This is where the monkey men kill their enemies. Yesterday they pushed 4 Indians down the cliff one by one. I could see bamboo sticks cut their bodies like knives. This morning I was lucky to run away." "What will they do to our friends?" "We must save them all. I know the monkey men wish a terrible death to us all." We moved through the forest carefully and quietly. Then we arrived at the place and saw a view I will never forget. On the edge of the cliff, there stood a line of Indians. Among them were our poor friends. Around them was a huge crowd of wild, noisy monkey men. They jumped and shouted and threw rocks. Their chief raised his hand. At that moment, 2 monkey men caught one Indian and threw him down the cliff. The poor man's body hit the ground, and the crowd shouted and laughed happily. Next was Summerlee. The chief was going to raise his hand again, but he couldn't. Lord John shot him dead. "Now, my friend, shoot," he cried. We killed many of them, and many ran into the forest. Challenger took poor Summerlee by the arm, and they both ran towards us. Together we returned to the camp. Another surprise waited for us there. 4 Indians found us and asked Lord John to protect them. They cried and shook from fear. "What shall we do with them?" he asked. "We must bring them back to where they live," Challenger said, and we all agreed. The Indians seemed even more afraid when the professor spoke. "You looked very similar to the chief of those terrible monkey men, and the Indians find you scary," Lord John laughed. 10. The travelers reached the lake by evening. Luckily for them, the Indians were there to welcome them. They see hundreds of small boats coming closer to the land. The Indians shout and smile. We knew war was coming, and we all agreed to fight the monkey men. They appeared the next day holding sticks and stones, but they couldn't win against the smart and quick Indians in open land. Every arrow an Indian threw found its target. Soon they killed most of the monkey men, and the rest ran to the edge of the cliff. The monkey men had no other choice but to jump off and die. "Today has been the greatest day in the history of Maple White Land," Challenger cried. "From this day forward, the future must ever belong to humans." And so it ended. Once again we visited our camp and spoke with our dear Zambo. He saw the terrible fight from far away. "You must go, sirs," he cried. "Don't stay here a day longer." He is right. Summerlee supported the idea.
Is learning English boring? Try learning with your favorite movie characters. English courses, interactive lessons with scenes from famous movies and TV series, best-selling books and word games, all in one place. Iwa app. Try appiwa.com now.
Now, your only plan must be to get us out of here, Challenger. 11. The travelers only think about returning home, but the Indians refuse to help them. For long days, Challenger worries about how to get out. Summerlee studies the nature of Maple White Land with great interest. Lord John arranges attacks on the volcano of pterodactyls. He wants to catch one as a present for the professor. Challenger even tries to build a balloon to fly away through the air, but it nearly ends in the deaths of all his team. Finally, one of the Indians feels sorry for the travelers. He gives them a kind of map that he has drawn on a piece of tree bark. "What is this drawing?" Challenger asked. "Something important," I suggested. "I think it may be a map of the caves," Lord John said. "One of them may lead to the other side." We all cried excitedly. A short time later, we walked through the dark tunnel of the cave in search of our way out. After a while, we saw a soft white light of the moon. "It is the moon, my friends. We are free." Lord John's voice never sounded happier. That night, we secretly carried all our things to the mouth of the cave. One huge square box was especially heavy. Soon we were climbing down the other side of the cliff. We finally stepped on free land. In no more than 2 weeks, we set sail to London. 12. The travelers arrive in London. They can't wait to share their amazing discoveries. They are invited to give a speech at the Zoological Institute. All the greatest minds in Europe are going to attend the meeting. There is no empty seat when the travelers enter. Everyone is standing around and welcoming the heroes. Professor Summerlee began with the speech. He spoke of the incredible things about the lost world. He spoke of how lucky he was to study the beautiful nature of 1,000,000 years of age. He spoke of the dangers and terrible animals, and of the scary monkey men. He talked and talked, but he said not a single word about where the lost world was. When he finished, the crowd jumped to their feet and shouted and laughed. "None of this is true," they repeated. Professor Challenger stood up. The crowd set their minds at rest again and waited. "I have photographs of dinosaurs and other—" "We don't believe your photographs." "So you wish to see the real thing?" Challenger asked. "Of course," they shouted. "And then you will accept that I was right?" "Certainly," was the answer. "All right then," Challenger roared. "Now you will believe me." What a joke. He raised his hand. It was a sign for us. Our dear friend Zambo entered the room. He carried a big square box. Challenger opened it. A real pterodactyl flew out and went slowly in circles above everyone's heads. The people went wild. They cried and ran back and forth with their hands in the air. "Shut the window!" Challenger shouted. But the animal already got through it and flew into the night. The professor looked worse than ever, as if his heart was broken. At once the crowd was all around us. "To the street!" they cried. The next moment they carried us into the street. There we saw even bigger crowds. I believe there were no less than hundreds of thousands. We moved through the streets of London in their hands. It was around midnight when we finally got free. But then again, I remembered my dear Gladys. A couple of nights later, I knocked on her door. and my heart beat excitedly. As soon as I saw her, I fell on my knees and took her hand in mine. She quickly took her hand away and gave me a careful look, and it hurt so badly. "Oh, Gladys, what is the matter? You are my Gladys, are you not, little Gladys Hungerton?" "No," she said, "I am Gladys Potts. Let me introduce you to my husband." Only then I noticed a small man sitting in the corner of the room, in a chair where I once sat. "You didn't receive my letter, did you?" she asked me. "No, I got no letter." "I see. You will understand if only—" "I understand it pretty clearly." "I am sorry." Her voice was sad. "But you never loved me if you could disappear in an adventure and leave me—" I should go. I didn't let her finish, but before I left I turned to the little man. "Will you answer one question?" I asked. "If it is within reason," he said. "How did you do it? Have you discovered new lands? Have you found a new life?" "I find your questions a little too personal, sir." "Just what are you? What do you do?" "I serve in a bank," he said. "Good night," I said, and left. I didn't know if I wanted to cry or to laugh. 13. The other night, the four of us met again at Lord John Roxton's rooms. We sat together and smoked fine cigars and talked over our adventures. After dinner, Lord John showed us his little cigar box. "My friends, do you remember the strange earth in the volcano of pterodactyls?" he began. "I went there and found something in a little hole in the ground." He opened the box, and about 20 stones appeared in front of us. Then he took one bright shining diamond out of his pocket. "And this is what I have got after cutting one of the stones. This box costs about £200,000, and of course we will share all of it among us. Well, Challenger, what will you do with your 50,000? "I will open my own museum, which has long been one of my dreams." "And you, Summerlee?" "I will leave teaching and write a book." "And I will use my own," said Lord John Roxton, "to have another look at the dear old plateau. As for you, young friend, you will need a lot of money, as you are going to start a family." "Not just yet," I said, smiling. "I think if you will have me, I will go with you." Lord Roxton said nothing, but shook my hand over the table.
Like and subscribe for more English stories like this. And now, listen to another audiobook.